Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Greenleaf Season 3, Episode 1, and the name of this episode is Strange Currents. I am so happy that Greenleaf is back. I really like this show, and again, I'm going to keep up with my tradition of how I review the show. I don't use any profanity when it comes to Greenleaf. You know, I do respect the church, so I'm not going to be flying off, you know, with my mouth like I do in my other reviews, but I'm still gonna keep up with the tradition of Greenleaf. But I have to say, this first episode was everything, and it did not disappoint. And just from this first episode, you know there's gonna be some turbulence this season, and I am so here for it. So so the episode opens up. You see that, you know, it kind of picked up where it left off. You know, Lady May threw the bishop out after she got word from Mavis that it wasn't just like a one-time thing between her and James, that James and Mavis been humping around for some years. Because she was like, honey, I can't even count the number of times I had to kick him out of that bed. So once she got word of that, she put the bishop out. So we see that Lady May is like sitting in the house and just like in a daze, you know, and the bishop, what we saw from the end of season 2, he had met up with Rochelle at the Biltmore Hotel. We see that he was in bed sleeping. So immediately the mind started to wonder, what the heck happened up in here? But we find out nothing happened. But he was there with Rochelle, but they were talking and he just fell asleep. But then she was like, you know, I will order some room service, but I don't want to give people the wrong idea. You know, but she's like, but I was glad that I could listen to you. You know, I wish I could, you know, make you more comfortable, you know. But she's like, you know, I wish I had more time to make you feel comfortable. But if you want, I still can. I'm like, Rochelle is just not making it no secret she's trying to take down the bishop. I mean, she is definitely trying to get her praise on between the sheets. Nasty self. Yeah, because I got a little name for her. I'm calling her Rochelle the Harlot, because she's making it known she wants the bishop to you know, to get, you know, to like break her down. And pretty much he lets her know, I'm still married, you know, but then he's like, I gotta go, you know, I gotta work at Calvary. And she was like, wow, you know, even through all of this, you're still dedicated to the church. But then she's like, you know, but Bishop, please. And she's literally throwing herself onto him, and he's backing her away, like, look, I'm still married. And he's like, but she threw you out though. And he was saying that, yeah, but I made a covenant with God. And due to the fact that, yeah, she put me out, you know, that's besides the point. I'm still gonna honor my vow. And we see that he gets, you know, an alert on his phone, and come to find out that he now knows about, you know, Zora running off with Isaiah's, you know, aka Little Ike Turner. So now he knows that Zora has run off. So then the next scene, we see that Sophia is there, you know, with Grace and Lady May. Sophia was like, look, I'm sorry about all of this, but I didn't know what to do. When I saw him hit her, and he hit her pretty hard, I just did the first thing that came to mind. I didn't know what to do. And then next thing you know, we see that Charity shows up. So Charity has found out about, you know, what happened with Zora, and she was just like, yes, I was just you know, when I was on the plane home, I was crying and everything, just wondering what was going on. And she pretty much they asked her, like, I think it was Sophie who asked, like, so where have you been on Charity? She was like, oh, I've been in Nashville. And you know, but then I'm also here because I want to talk to Kevin about, you know, some custody issues. And then she's like, Jabari's picking me up after church tomorrow. So I'm like, her and Jabari still getting it in. And, you know, so her and Jabari are like an item now. and she's right now still on tour, but she had to take a break to come deal with the family and also deal, with the situation with Kevin. So obviously Kevin done reached out to her. And then she said, well, the last time I talked to him, he said that he had came by and talked to you, Mom. She's like, oh, trust me, what we had wasn't no conversation. But I can definitely tell that Aaron's been coaching him. I was like, yeah, him and Aaron then got it in, and now Aaron is giving Kevin legal shield on the double, baby. I was like, and Kevin's kind of showed up in this episode. It's to the point I'm now kind of looking at Kevin with a different set of eyes. Like, okay, Kevin really is on some other stuff now. So pretty much Stay said that, yeah, your father now, she's like, so where's Daddy? And she's like, oh, well, Daddy's somewhere, but Daddy knows about it and he's heading to the church. So we're all gonna meet him over there or whatever. And then all of a sudden, everybody leaves, and then it's just Grace and Lady May. And Grace is checking on her mother's so are you okay? And she's like, oh, please don't toy me with your fake sympathies. And she's like, you and Mavis started this, and you two have always been like this. You just so pressed to point out somebody's sins and somebody's pointing out somebody's dirt. And if anything, you don't even understand what sin is, but you're so pressed to put a light on everybody's stuff and what everybody else is doing. And I'm like, Lady May, you need to cut your crap, because at the end of the day, Grace is the main person that's trying to rid the mess that has been going on with this family. And pretty much Grace was like, first of all, all of this you talking, yeah, I admit my part, but trust and believe, I'm not the reason Daddy left. I'm not the reason that Kevin's gay, and I'm not the reason that Zora ran away. So what you trying to say? But she says that, yeah, but you're a bull in a china shop and you're just trying to wreck everything good. And she's like, yeah, and as far as this family, that's a good thing. And then she just flipped out. She's like, and then she's like, oh, and she just started to go in it was about to say like because of you, this and that, and Grace was kind of looking at her like, oh, so you're saying you want to go back to when everything was still behind closed doors and everything was a lie, when yet because of that is the reason why Faith killed herself. So we definitely saw, yeah, there's still that friction between Grace and Lady May. So then we see that Jacob and Carissa have found Zora, and pretty much Jacob stripped her down. He's like, I want your credit card, I want your phone, you are literally on lockdown. And all of a sudden Carissa was like, do you want something to eat, sweetheart? She's like, oh, I can eat? I didn't know that was allowed in prison. And he's like, girl, keep on talking and see what happens. Because he's like, first, and Carissa's like, Jacob, calm down. He's like, calm down. We just found this girl 10 miles from the state line in some rundown motel. Trust me, I ain't calming down for nothing. And he was like, and then he tells the little boy, like, you better not act like your sister. And he's like, no, sir. I thought that was too cute. And then all of a sudden she goes and slammed the door, and he was like, and he's saying that you grounded for life, and don't you slam my door. I'll take it off the hinges. I was like, oh, check you out, Jacob. But then again, you're partially responsible as to why she screwed up. One reason is because when you were all having your little liaisons with the former church secretary, Zora didn't have her father at that time, because it was like the marriage was in a disarray, and they were just together to keep up appearances, but there was no connection there. But then now that things have patched up, Zora has been dealing with a whole lot of issues. I mean, let's be real. In season 1, we saw her sniffing Ritalin, and then we saw her doing all kind of stuff. I mean, she's just a problem child. And we see some other stuff she does in this episode too, and I'm gonna get to that. So then we get a scene. Miss Rochelle, the harlot, is walking herself, feeling herself. You know, you can't tell her nothing. The sun is shining. You know, and in her mind, she just know that she is like a good piece of meat ready to be sliced. She goes and talks to the Corinne, the secretary, and she's like, is the bishop in? And she's like, well, do you have an appointment? She's like, well, no, not really. She's like, well, then no, he's not here. So she buzzes in. It's like, Bishop, Rochelle Cross is here. And she's like, and he's like, oh, okay, send her in. And then she's like, and then like Rochelle is feeling herself. She's like, I guess like I'm Moses and the seas are just parting for me. Woo! I'm like, Rochelle, you need to stop your playing, because you are really playing with some messiness. But then we also found out in season 2 that she's Bishop's gang sister, so she's a plant. So she goes in there to talk to the bishop. Bishop is like saying, you know, she pretty much goes to apologize, and he's like, no, I'm sorry, it was all me. You know, I want you to come in for worship and everything, but, you know, we can't really have this personal time anymore. I think it's kind of, you know, getting to the point where it's not good that we're spending all this personal time together, and it's not. And then the next thing you know, Grace comes to talk to what's her name, Corinne, and she's like, is my dad busy? And she's like, oh no, go ahead. Oh, and another thing she was trying to do too, Rochelle was trying to take his mail to him. Corinne wouldn't let the mail go. She's like, And I'm like, yeah, Rochelle is really feeling herself, that she thinks that she got the bishop so she can do any and everything. And that's the attitude she's giving, like, I'm untouchable. But when Grace came up in there, because I think Corinne likes Grace, so she wanted Grace to see what was going on there, to kind of peep how Rochelle is moving. So if anything, Grace walks in and sees, you know, Rochelle in there, and she's like, oh, I was just leaving and all of that. And you can see in Grace's face, Grace don't trust Rochelle as far as she can throw her, and rightfully so. So then, we also, after that, we, cause pretty much, you know, she was like, you want to go get some coffee, Dad? And he's like, certainly. So they go get some coffee, but before we see them, before that, we get a scene with Zora and Carissa. Zora's trying to warm up to Carissa, trying to talk to her, and pretty much, you know, Zora's like, I'm sorry I ran away, but I felt after everything that happened at the Cotillion that I ruined everything and I didn't know what to do. So I wanted to run away because I didn't want to, I felt I was embarrassed. And then she's like, I don't understand Sophia. Like, and then she starts crying. It's like, I don't understand why she's so mad at me. She's mad at you because you know that Isaiah is treating you like crap and he doesn't respect you. And he literally, you know, after Cotillion made it about himself when it should have been about you. You know, and, you know, Zora's not getting that. And Sophia's like is really there trying to protect her cousin. But Zora right now is so in love that she's just blinded by the BS that Isaiah is doing. And it's like she excuses it, but she likes the fact that this boy likes her and that he's this talented guy. But yeah, she kind of breaks down because she feels that Sophia's mad at her, and rightfully so, because she's been trying to get you to leave this boy alone, but you still want to be involved in the crazy, which I think also stems from the situation involving her and her parents. So then, so if anything, Grace and the bishop go out for coffee. And Grace kind of, you know, confronts him like, so is it true? And he's like, it's all lies, you know. But he's saying that, but if anything, Grace is like, it don't seem like it's all lies to me. It seemed to me that if these are lies, then it's your worst enemy, because things ain't looking too good. And he was like, you know what, you need to mind your own business. Just stay away from this, and you don't want no parts of this. Just leave it alone. So Grace is already seeing that, yeah, what their mother said was true, because when she told him to get out the house, Grace was there when that happened. So then we see what's her face? The treasure. We get a scene that hold on, what's her name? Let me get this right quick. I'm trying to find out what that girl's name is. The treasurer at Triumph. The one that's been giving Jacob a hard time. Oh, Brittany, that's her name. So we see first off him and Brittany and Jacob are having a conversation. She's telling him that your real church is a financial expense to the church, and we're not making a lot of money, and your whole idea is gonna do nothing but bankrupt this church and all of this. And she was just talking because we saw in last season she really don't care for Jacob, and she has been at that church since the beginning, so she really feels herself in her position, and she just be talking cash smack, to Jacob, and was like, your whole idea is doing nothing but crippling this church and everything, and she said that, look, we're about to get more exposure, so money is gonna be made, so money's not gonna be an issue. And then all of a sudden, Tasha walked in while they were having a conversation, and she was saying that what you're doing is going to make the church bankrupt. And Tasha, when we know Tasha's another plant, she's there on behalf of Skanks to set them up to get the church back. So she was like, oh, when Skanks was here, she ain't talk to him like that. What you need to do is fire her, because she out of line and out of order. And I'm like, here we go. Already about to start some mess. So then we see that Kevin and Charity, I'm just going to wrap them up in one full swoop. We see that Kevin got a job working for like a truck company or whatever. He's trying to talk to her saying that, look, I got a job and everything, and I want to see my son. And she was saying that, well, I don't know about you seeing your son right now because I'm about to go back on tour, and but he was like, well, won't you let me keep him? And she's like, why would I do that? How I know you ain't gonna just up and disappear or leave me a note, and then out of nowhere you're just gone. And he was like, yeah, but I'm back now, so I want part of my son. And he says, I still want shared custody of our son, and I'm willing to go to court. And next thing you know, she kind of goes off. She's like, oh, you want to go to court, huh? But what about how you just wrote a note and disappeared, and I didn't know where you were at? So how I know me letting our son back into your life, you're not going to do the same thing again? And hung up on him. So tell me why come Sunday, she's singing on the praise team, getting her praise on, and she sees Kevin in the audience. Then they, after service, they have a conversation, and he lets her know, you hung up on me. I want partial custody of my son. And she's like, and he's like, when can I see him? And she's like, well, you'll be able to see him after I get back on tour, because I'm about to leave, and you'll see him whenever you see him, but I don't know right now. And he was like, this is how it's going to go down. Either you leave our son with me, or you're not going back on tour, because you're not going to take my son across state lines. You're not going to take my son across state lines. That's kidnapping. I was like, oh, Kevin. Oh, Aaron definitely been briefing you in more ways than one. because now you got a backbone in a way you never had before. But I think a lot of this aggression has come to how the Greenleafs treated him after it was discovered that he was gay, and how they all kind of, except for Grace, they all kind of like, you know, turned their backs on him, and he was just kind of left out to ponder on his own. And it was like Charity had everything, and it was like it was like he never existed. So I understand why Kevin is being aggressive right now, but I'm like, Kevin, you doing a little too much right now. But then I understand why he's coming off that way, because he's mad. Because the reason why he left is because he felt shut out from the family, and even though he was a part of the church, he was treated as if like he didn't exist, like he wasn't even a part of that family. Because after that divorce, it was like, to hell with Kevin. So I understand, and I think Aaron was the only person that really reached out and cared for him during that hard time. So we see that finally the bishop comes back to his office. Corinne gives him his mail, and we see the first letter is a letter from the IRS. And I think Rochelle saw that too, because I think it comes back to play later. So then, you know, pretty much the bishop, you know, sits down with Lady Mae and lets him know that, you know, she was asking, where were you? You know, when all of this was going on about your granddaughter, where were you at? And pretty much he was saying, I was at the Biltmore. But then we got bigger fish to fry. He pretty much says that, you know, this whole tax problem with the IRS, well, Mac actually bribed somebody to make this go away, but the bribe got caught. So now we have to come up with $2 million in 90 days, or we can go down for tax evasion. And she's like, well, how could you let this happen? And she was like, it's your brother, May. What do you mean? You're like, we all know that Uncle Mac was doing a whole bunch of shady dealings, you know, when it came down to that church. He even had Mavis think that she lost her club. Come to find out, she never lost it at all. He just had the deed and made her think she lost it. That's the kind of games that Mac played. But then he's telling Lady Mae, we need to keep up a united front, you know, for this whole IRS situation. But then she tells him, no, I'm not with it. Because keeping up appearances is not the same thing as hypocrisy. Like, you have failed me in the worst way, and I'm not having it. You got to face this on your own. So then we see that Jacob and Carissa have a conversation, and he's talking about Brittany and how she keeps disrespecting him and stuff. And he was saying that, you know, well, Tasha said I should fire her. And she was like, oh, so when does Tasha make decisions? I'm like, Carissa, you need to stop feeling yourself, boo-boo, because Tasha is probably more in the loop than you realize. Because due to the fact you got a lot of stuff going on, she's still kind of playing that first lady role, even though she's not first lady. But she's planning things to get things to go a certain way. And we see that's exactly what's going on with Tasha. So then, you know, he gets a call from the bishop. The bishop is talking to him about, you know, their mom throwing him out. Then he gets a call. Then he on the other line, he gets a call from Lady Mae. And he's talking to her. And then Grace calls and was like, Jacob, we need to talk. You know, then we see that Grace, Jacob, and Charity, the siblings, sit down and talk. And pretty much she's telling Jacob, you need to talk to Mama. And he was like, you know, okay, but I don't see what that's going to do. I mean, it seemed to me that Mama's already made up her mind. And if anything, I wonder what did Daddy do? And then Charity was also wondering, like, yeah, what did Daddy do? And they said that, you know, he had an affair with Aunt Mavis. And he was like, oh, please, really? That happened way before they got married. We knew all about that. I'm like, dang, okay. So much for family, huh? But then Grace was like, no. It wasn't just no one time. They had multiple rendezvous during their marriage. He was still stepping out with Mavis. So then pretty much Charity's like, you need to fix this. And then Grace was like, why I need to fix it? because he says that, well, before you came home, Aunt Mavis and Mom weren't even talking to each other. So here again, Grace is being blamed for how everything has turned out, when yet Grace has probably done the most commendable thing by getting rid of Uncle Mac, because Uncle Mac was not going to stop, raping these young girls. So she did something of diligence and of true humanity, and for true humanitarianism, but the family's still shading her for it. So therefore, she's trying to tell Jacob, you need to help fix this, and Jacob's like, you ain't in a position to tell me anything. I'm not getting in the middle of this. It is what it is. And besides, him being so self-righteous, he's finally getting what he deserves. Now I hope he kind of burns for this, because he was always judging me, and now he got his own, skeletons in his closet now coming out. So, I ain't with it. So then we see Grace talks to Darius, and more, I'm not trusting Darius at all, because Darius don't want to go to church, but he likes to go to church to expose church business and puts it on the front page of the newspapers. So pretty much he was saying that, would you go to church with me to help me to solve this, as my support? And he's like, no, I ain't going to church. He's like, look, I'm not going to play in the soap opera with the cross in the background. I'm like, you sure got a lot to say, but you quick to, talk about these things in the paper, but you don't want to go to church, though. So then he was just like, you know what, I got to go home. And she's like, look, I know we're having like a mild fight, but you don't have to leave. And she's like, nah, I think it's best for me to go. So he leaves. So then we see, come Sunday, Lady Mae don't want to go to church. So Grace just leaves. And we see that Lady Mae is really just going through it, coming with this idea that her marriage could be officially over. We see that she goes off walking by the pond. She goes out to brunch by herself. And then we see that she ends up going to Triumph. And she sees Jacob preaching. And she's at the door listening to him preaching. And all of a sudden, that messy Tasha, gets her attention and was like, why aren't you at Calvary? Why are you here at Triumph? And she's like, they got you doing, because she's like, I can make you some tea if you like. So she goes to, to like the little stand or whatever, and they serving muffins and tea and stuff. I'm like, what kind of church is this? This is interesting. Well, it's a mega church, so they got money to do that kind of stuff. But, she starts, so all of a sudden Lady Mae is looking at Tasha's like, they got you doing this kind of stuff now? And she's like, what do you mean? She's like, well, you were first lady. She was like, yeah, I was. But then, she pretty much says that, oh yes, and could you pass me those fudge stripes? And she's like, the what? The fudge stripes. Yeah, them fudge stripes. The cookies. And so then she starts talking about, I for one, I'm just grateful because I just found out about this woman, after 20 years of marriage. She was married to a bishop. He left her for a younger woman. And then and then worse than that, she ends up tripping over some steps. And she ends up falling over the balcony. And now she can't even talk. And she can't even, in one of her eyes, she can't even see no more. She got this going on. Like, you see that? You see that? She only got one eye. One eye. I was like, it's a mess. Like, one eye. She only got that one eye. One eye. I was like, she is so wrong. And you already know her and Rochelle working together, so she already knows what's going on. And she's literally just kind of playing devil advocate, messing with Lady Mae's head. So Lady Mae just can't take it, and she ends up leaving. And I'm like, Tasha, you messy as you are, one messy little something. I'm like, she playing them games. But she's like, I'm blessed because, you still got your husband, but my husband is long gone. And yeah, we actually seen in that scene that Tasha is on some evil mess. because that's exactly what I put in my notes. She's on some evil mess. Then we see during service, Zora is sitting with a collection plate. Tell me why this little scheming little heifer decides to steal money out the collection plate. That's your child, Jacob. That's your child, Carissa. Just a cautionary tale. Every time you turn around, she's in some mess. But then, and then all of a sudden, after the service, Jacob and Carissa are in his office and they're talking. He's saying that, I feel like, things are kind of off, I knew the message was good, but then yet it seemed like the crowd, is you can definitely tell that it wasn't, there were some people there, but it wasn't a lot of people there. Not like how it was at Calvary. Then all of a sudden, Brittany, the treasurer, comes in there and she's like, well, it seems to me that you off your game, and the money can definitely, and the money also says the same thing. So all of a sudden he kind of looks at her and was like, Brittany, you're fired. And she's like, excuse me? She's like, did I stutter? You're fired. Leave. Get out. Get out of here. Just straight fired her. So all of a sudden we see that Carissa feels some kind of way because he's taking Tasha's advice. So I'm like, yeah, Carissa is definitely going to have another woman that's now in the way between her and Jacob, just like old girl, what's her name, Alyssa, that was the former. Sorry, I had a little technical difficulty here, but yeah, due to the fact that what's her name, oh yes, after Jacob had that whole little situation dealing with Alyssa at Calvary. Tasha is now another woman trying to take Carissa's man, and Carissa was definitely feeling some kind of way when he fired Brittany. So yeah, and Tasha kind of gives him that look like, yeah, this is for the best, but really Tasha's trying to take you down, Jacob. Oh yeah, and I also talked about that. Oh, so I already talked about Charity and Kevin. So later on, we see that Charity meets up with Jabari. Jabari's there to take her, because the next stop is Jackson. And he's saying that we can leave, late tonight, or we can leave early in the morning. But I know a little romantic spot along the way, and she lets him know, I can't go to Jackson. I need to solve the situation with Kevin because he's not letting me take little Nathan on tour. And he was like, but you have an obligation. You signed a contract. You can't just bail on the tour like this. He's like, look, I just need to solve the situation with Kevin, and then I can go back to work. But right now, I just need some time to get this situation resolved. I'm like, see, now Kevin messing with your love life now, honey, because we're going to see that, yeah, Jabari is about his money, and he about his business. We're going to see another side of Jabari now, because all of a sudden, all of this aggression came out when she said she wasn't going back on tour. But I thought this was supposed to be your woman, and we're kind of seeing Jabari's face. He's not happy with it, and he, we just see right there, nah, he wasn't cool with that at all. Oh yeah, so then we also see that that Grace and Rochelle finally run in, because during church service, Rochelle want to play church. It's like, oh yes, preach, Bishop. And then you look at her and then she's just giving these looks like, I'm like, Rochelle, you are really doing too much, and you just making it obvious you trying to get the bishop, and you just feeling yourself. So then she, goes up to Grace and was like, I know you've been trying to get some of these outreach projects, and I know these women up in the, these deacons up in the church be trying to shut things down, but I'm a master at finance, I be wanting to help you out, whatever project you want to do. And she's like, okay, we can talk about that, but Grace is giving her that side eye like, I don't trust you. Oh yeah, and tell me why, while they were in church, the head deacon, she's like, so where's Lady May at? She's like, oh, well, she's kind of under the weather, and, she's not going to be in today. She's like, well, she's in my prayers. And then all of a sudden during the service, because after Charity finished performing, and now she knows about what's going on, Bishop went to go hug Charity. Charity backed away from him. And I was like, whoa. And then he talks about, oh, yes, I'm sorry that Lady May, she's out of town, but she should be back soon, and let's keep her in the prayers. And all of a sudden, the head deacon was like, amen, Bishop. I was like, just calling Grace out like, yeah, you just got caught in a lie, honey. You told me one thing, but the bishop's saying something totally different. And I was just cracking up. I was like, wow. You know, and we later on see that Tasha and Rochelle get together. You know, I think Tasha, I think, was talking to somebody, you know, supposedly coaching them or whatever, and then she's like, oh, that girl is so stupid. I don't know if it was Carissa or not, but if I don't know who she was talking to, but she was just being real fake on the phone, and then I was like, oh, that girl's so stupid. And then Rochelle was like, yeah, but then she said, did you know that I took the bishop to the hotel and he didn't do anything with me? But we're gonna see how things going now that I know about that money situation. Things could get kind of messy. And she was like, so we got an angle now. So I'm like, them two women, I mean, Skanks literally got these two women literally doing his bidding, and it's crazy. So then we see that Grace actually meets up with Darius later on. You know, he asks us, how was church? You would know if you went to church, Darius. Don't ask about church if you ain't gonna go. Amen. So then she talks about Rochelle Cross, and she's saying that I just had this feeling she's trying to come between my parents, and she just has these motives. And he's like, well, why does this matter to you? You know, she was like, look, this church matters to me as well as my family, and I won't let either one of them go down without a fight. So I'm saying with that, there's going to be some division between her and Darius, and we're going to see how long it's going to last. But something's telling me that Darius is going to do something. He's going to do something unthinkable. That's just my hypothesis at this point. But I don't trust Darius as far as I can throw him, because I think he still is going to find a way to tear down cavalry and to go after her family. So I don't trust Darius at all. So then we see that at the end, Lady James comes to the house to get a few of his things. Lady May says that, look, you can move back in, you know, so we can handle this IRS situation. But afterwards, I don't know where we stand. So we see that they're going to keep up appearances so they can get through this whole IRS investigation. So that's what I have. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, follow me on all of my social platforms. I have them all listed in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I'll be back with the next episode of Greenleaf. So until next time, everybody, take care.